this is Earthy Indigo, psychic medium, intuitive, astrologer, and tarot card reader. This is celebrity psychic reading, channeling, and astrology insight teas for Jada and August Alsina. Now, if you go back, I predicted this. Go back to the Will and Jada interview. Will and Jada reading that I did. I predicted this maybe close to 3 years ago. I did the Will and Jada reading, and I also had predicted her talk show, Red Table Talk. I had predicted Will, and him doing the movie Bright on Netflix, and also doing the show that he did with Facebook. I predicted all of that. Go listen to the reading. Also, more predictions that have came true. If you go to my Megan Thee Stallion, of course Nicki Minaj is pregnant. I predicted that. As far as the timing and time frame of when it would happen and when she would announce it, you can listen to my Nicki readings, and I predicted that. As well as around her marriage time and getting married, I predicted all that. Also, everybody knows, I had predicted the whole Kanye West and the white, background, his house, and all of that stuff, and the religious stuff. I predicted all of that. Also, with the singer John Legend, I said that he would if there will be a big announcement with him and some big news. It will be something that we've never seen before, was unrelated to him and his personality and what we've known him for, and it felt big, like he had a huge smash or a huge #1, and it was like he was I said, if you go listen to the reading, I said he was going to be on the cover of like a huge magazine, and it was going to be like a big deal what he did. And he was like voted sexiest man alive that year or something, and it was a lot of feedback on that, as far as what sexy is, even though beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I predicted all of that. I predicted everything that went on with Megan Thee Stallion, her management, and all of that. If you go listen to those readings, and you can look at the time frame of when I predicted it and when it was announced. It was way before. And what else? I made so many things, and of course I have a lot of videos, so you could always see and hear, but I did predict those things. But mainly this is for Will and Jada. If you go listen to that reading that I did on them, I predicted all of this and announced this many years ago, and I said there would be an outing or a public spectacle made of it, and there has been, with everything that's going on and everything that has came out to the open and into the now that's out in the public. Let's jump into the reading and let's see what was going on with them. Now, first I want to say thank you to everybody who's booked readings with me, who I've read for, and who I still have to read for. Who I still have to read for. It's always a pleasure, and I thank you so much. And you can click on the link in the description to book a reading. I love to read for you. Let's jump into this. First, I'm going to ask, some questions, and then we're going to jump into the astro teas. Will Jada and Will Smith now get a divorce? Will Jada and Will Smith now get a divorce? Since everything is out in the open, there's no more speculation. Not to mention, she did the whole Red Table Talk where they talked about polyamory and everything, and what she thought of that, and basically kind of played it off like that was something she didn't know about, and it was so, far from her and her reality, and everybody was like, come on now, we know that y'all wrote the book on it, that's what y'all do, and if you listen to my first reading on Will and Jada, I predicted it, and I verified it with the tarot. But of course, it's whatever they say. What I say is just what comes through me, intuitively and energetically. But you still have to go by what they say. But yeah, we were just like, come on now, Jada. Come on, Jada. You could have told us then when they did the red table talk, but that would have been, I went all over that in the first reading. They didn't want to do it for embarrassment of the children and the kids and family. And there's a lot of power in their partnership. There's a lot of power in their marriage and what it means to be Will and Jada. Before Barack and Michelle, there was Will and Jada. You know what I mean? They were that couple. And it's a lot of power in the perception of that, and them, making money moves, even though they're very wealthy, but they have to, still, people still have a drive, in them to, especially when you have two people who are perfectionists and two people who are driven. They're still alive. They still want to be the creme de la creme, the best, and uphold a certain standard, a certain respect from their peers, and they want to keep their power. They want to keep their power, and there's a lot of power in their partnership. A lot of power in their partnership, and for them to separate, it kind of diminishes the power. Not as big as, not as huge for Will as it would for Jada. Jada would, it would be a lot of power loss for Jada in their separation. Will is the man, and when I say the man, I'm not talking about like just his sex. I'm talking about he is, the man, and to be connected to Will, there's a lot of power. Now, even though, okay, Bad Boys, what was that? Bad Boys 3, Bad Boys 4, whichever one that just came out. He's been on a string of successful movies, but before then, he had a rough patch of, because the newer, younger guys that came in, they were hiring Jamie Foxx for roles, and they were hiring, other guys for roles that he may have played the part in, and he's welcoming and he's open, and they've said that he's been a great mentor to many. Who else did he mentor? It was Jamie. Well, him and Jamie Foxx are kind of like peers, the same age group, but he kind of did. Tyrese. Tyrese had got, Tyrese had came in. Of course, it was Jamie at the time. It was quite a few that had came in and started to get those roles that we may have seen Will in. And then the movies that Will did for a few years, they weren't doing as well, or he had a tough time in his popularity. And those were the years when Saturn, the planet Saturn, was actually transiting through Virgo. Saturn was transiting through Virgo. Pluto, during the Pluto Sagittarius time, that would have been good for Will, because Pluto in the sign Sagittarius, which was from 1995 to 2008-ish, 9-ish. That was his rise, and that's a good aspect of sextile, so that empowered him, or helped to empower him. He used that opportunity. But there were some years when things were rough for Will. as far as his popularity in the movies that he did. I would have to say my two favorite Will movies. My two favorites are The Pursuit of Happiness and the one where he's impersonating an IRS agent and he's going around writing people's taxes off and doing their taxes. 7 pounds, and also The Pursuit of Happiness. My two favorites. Yeah, that movie did really good. Hitch is not one of my favorites, but I think that was one of the last movies. No, he did I Am Legend, I Robot, all kinds of stuff. He's good. Will's good. But the point of me saying all of that is the power. Without them, they're together, their union and what they represent is a powerful union. And to separate disseminates or kind of diminishes a legacy and dilutes a power structure, and they don't want to do that. Now let's jump into this reading. Will and Jada now get a legal separation or divorce because of the August Alsina and the information that he revealed. Will they get a divorce or will they separate? What I'm seeing is an energy around an improvement on how they maneuver and operate. And I also got the I got the Eight of Pentacles. And what the Eight of Pentacles represent is improvement of skills and how you maneuver and operate. If we want this open relationship, open marriage to run smoothly, then everybody needs to sign non-disclosure agreements. Now we have to streamline this thing. Before, I'm getting energy around a network of them. And I believe I talked about this in the first reading, but a network of them, a ring of them who have an understanding. And they were trying, to bring August into it. Not necessarily like, oh, I want you to be a member of this circle, like we're a secret society. But it's this energy of what what's understood doesn't need to be said. And we're this network. Like the energy of like a swingers network, a swingers club, or we interchange or intermingle, we interplay. And there's an understanding. But the other members are more mature and they have a lot to lose. August didn't have nothing to lose, and he wasn't in a mental state of understanding, of what to put first because of loss. It was extreme, emotion and transformation that needed to take place. But will they separate? I'm getting energy not for another 5 to 10 years. Like they're gonna hang in there for a while, but the way that they're gonna do things now is just more structured and improved, and that is connected to the Eight of Pentacles. We have to be skillful, we have to be tactful about how we and who we bring into the circle, because look, he could have made us not necessarily lose everything, but it's definitely something now that she has to come forward and speak about, and she can't deny it anymore. It was so much passion and so much passion. I mean, you could be a passionate liar, but the energy that August gave off, he didn't have it was nothing. First, he didn't have nothing to lose, number one. and he just didn't, energetically, it just doesn't come through as he was lying. Was August Alsina lying during the interview? Was August Alsina lying during the interview? Was August Alsina lying during the interview? No, I got the 9 of Cups in reverse. Now, typically the 9 of Cups is satisfaction, pleasure, being content, being hopeful and optimistic about the future. I'm getting the energy, and what came through around the 9 of Cups is that he's still, no matter what he says about how he's healed and this and that he's still in a place of pain, a huge amount of pain, but he has to promote this album. And then the more he speaks, 9 of course represents, the number 9 represents or connects to the sign, Sagittarius, and getting a message out and letting it out and speaking one's truth, I should say. And the more he speaks and goes on interviews and gets it out, he'll start to heal and feel better. But I'm getting energy around Jada taking the law into her hands in some form or capacity, like him getting a cease and assist or something, to kind of shut it down or slow it down. Maybe even sending him, or meeting with him, and maybe even offer him some type of cash to be quiet, kind of a thing, to slow his roll, so to speak. But typically the 9 of Cups is, joy, satisfaction, pleasure, being content. And I got the 9 of Cups in reverse. So it's someone who is unhappy, who it pained them to say the words, but he's still going through the healing process. And I'm not getting the energy that he was lying. How did Will handle things with Jada? How did Will handle things with Jada? Wow, I got the 7 of Cups. The 7 of Cups connected to how we'll, handle things with Jada. Now the 7 of Cups, and what came through around it is I'm seeing someone who's, moving their hands around a lot. Like, how somebody's talk with their hands and their arms, and there's animation in how they handled it, and anger, and not anger like you did it, but anger as in the decision. Anger as in, I told you not to choose somebody so young, or I told you to think about what you were doing, and what are you trying to do to us? What are you trying to do here? I'm not getting the energy. This is what I'm hearing. This is all on you. This is all on you. What happens next is all on you. That's what I'm hearing. What happens next is all on you. That's what comes through. And I'm just seeing somebody who's talking really animated. Like, it's all on you. Now what? Now what? That's what's coming through. Typically, the 7 of Cups can connect to someone who had delusional ambitions. It's like he's this energy of, I tried to tell you, or I told you so. I told you. Yeah, I supported you, but I told you so. I told you this would happen. Like that. Did August Did August release the information out of spite? Is he just a scorned lover? Did he release the information out of spite? Did August release the information out of spite? I got the Tower card upright. And I'm getting energy around partially yes. Partially to heal, or more, the majority of it was to heal, and it's feeling good to let it out and to not look like the crazy one, or the, oh, I was just a drug addict, or and they had to help put me back together like Humpty Dumpty. No, I'm a real person with real feelings. I got the Tower card upright. Partially yes. Partially to, you know how somebody cuts you off and they'll no longer speak to you. They're not going to answer your calls anymore. They won't talk to you anymore. They won't text you anymore. And you're trying to get their attention, but they won't feed into you anymore. They won't, in his case, in her case, she won't nurture him anymore. And we know he had mommy issues. We're going to get into that when we jump into the astral teas. But when you're obsessively romantically connected to somebody, and they just stop your supply, they stop your drug. When you have an addictive personality or addictive tendencies, and they just stop your drug. If you go back to his other interview he did when his hair was a little bit shorter, and he did it with like media, one of those blogs, those popular blogs, he did it, an interview, and they brought up Jada, and he got to grabbing at his chest and everything. He was, of course, we could see he was catching it then. But at that time, I'm getting the energy that he was still holding on to the hope that she would reach back out. And I'm getting the energy that she didn't after their split. Did Jada get what she wanted and just drop him? Did Jada get what she wanted from August and then just throw him away? Did Jada get what she wanted from August and then just throw him away? Wow. I got the Two of Cups and the Lovers in reverse, and also the Queen of Pentacles upright. Yes, I'm getting a strong energy around a yes. A strong emotional and sexual and magnetic emotional manipulation. You have what I need. You have what I want. There is something in you. Avoid being filled. I'm getting energy around avoid being filled within Jada. Avoid being filled, and that isn't uncommon when you have Virgo, because Virgo is the fixer, the healer. Let me help you, let me fix you. Self-sacrifice, or the appearance of self-sacrifice, and it can be the appearance of self-sacrifice for one's own selfish desires and needs. But look, hey, I gave you something, I helped you, I did. It was a exchange, ain't no robbery, as they say. But I got the energy around it. Yes, he was weak. And it's a way to heal a person and be with them and help them and get them through without having sex with them. Now, once we get into the astrology, into the astral teas, we'll see how and why they came together in a more in-depth manner. But through the tarot, did she use him and throw him away? I got the Lovers card in reverse, the Two of Cups in reverse, and the Queen of Pentacles upright. That's a strong woman who knew what she wants, or knows what she wants, and understands her place and her power and her, because that's it's a power structure there. She knows who she is and what she wants, and she got it. And as we saw from the photos that leaked of August, he's a well-endowed young man. And that was, I guess, like a Six Flags ride for Jada. But on another note, just hopping in, this is, on another note, could you even, I mean, there are men who do it all the time, men who date much younger, but you over there seeing, going, I don't know, ride go-karts with Jaden, or Tesla driving with Jaden, and then how did you get from, I don't know, rocking out music with Jaden or kicking it with, the kids, to rolling around with Jada? But I did get a strong energy around emotional, seduction and manipulation and all of those things. That does come through very strong. Let's quickly jump into the astro teas, you guys. Oh wait, let's ask the tarot another question. Wait a minute. Will Jada tell the truth on Red Table Talk? Will Jada tell the truth on Red Table Talk? Will Jada tell the truth on Red Table Talk? Wow, I got the Seven of Pentacles. It will be hard for her to do, but I'm getting the energy that she will tell the truth. It will be hard for her to do and embarrassing, and because there's a lot that she act like she didn't know, and oh my goodness, and open this, you guys do that, and I remember that whole episode of when they brung the polyamorous people on. And the Seven of Pentacles, I got the energy. She will tell the truth. She's going to do her best to tell the truth. She's going to tell more than we think that she would tell. You know how you get those celebrities. You know how you get those celebrities who get on there and they dance around everything. I bet the Kardashians are having a kiki over this. But I'm still, when it comes to Jordan, I'm still on Jordan's side no matter what, versus the Kardashians. But I know they have the kiki. Like you tried to school us, and now look, you doing the Kris Jenner. She will tell the truth on Red Table Talk. I'm getting energy that she will be more open than we expect her to be. Okay, that's what I'll say. She's going to be way more open about things than we expect her to be on Red Table Talk when that episode premieres. Also, she kept saying how August reminded her of Tupac, or there was this, energy around Tupac. And now jumping into the astro teas, and wait, before the astro teas, why did she say, oh, you remind me of, Tupac? Well, first of all, Will stated when he was on the Breakfast Club that, he was jealous of the relationship that Jada had with Tupac. So then you see, there's a Virgo is an angelic sign, and it has a high morality, but it can be covertly, it can get a person back covertly. Like, I don't have to punch you in the face, it's an energy of malice behind that saying, you remind me of Tupac. Here he is, a musician, kind of has an edge to him, kind of from the street, a little bit. He has some issues, he was addicted to prescription pills, and she called herself on, me and my mom, helping him, getting him through all that stuff, right? But she kept saying, you remind me of Tupac. There's this Tupac energy about you. And, Will stated on the Breakfast Club that he was jealous of the relationship that she had with Tupac. Now, August does have his Mars in Gemini, which is the masculine force that he carries as a man, which can be reminiscent to Jada because Tupac had a stellium of planets in Gemini, like his sun, his Mercury, I believe. You know, he had a stellium of planets in Gemini. So she very well could have been reminded of Tupac through his energy because his Mars is in Gemini, and of course that is his virility as a man. Um, she never got to go all the way with Tupac physically, and I'm getting this energy of her in this vision of kind of imagining or saying, you know, this is what it would have been like sexually with Tupac through this, you know, living that, filling that void through August to a certain extent. And also, it's also digging at Will. I'm going to use, because you know, Will is with the Koshi girl, the YouTuber Koshi girl, you know, in love with her. Or they're having their thing where he's in love with the Koshi girl. And we're going to do that, you know, we're going to go through that video in a minute. But that's still a dig at Will, kind of to edge at his heart a little bit. I found this young man, this musician, got a little edge, a little street to him, and I'm telling you, he reminds me of Tupac, a place in my heart that you knew that you never filled or could feel, and this guy reminds me of that. It's more like a pick and a jug to a certain extent because he's, you know, roaming around the world with the Koshi chick. We'll talk about that in the next video, but the whole thing with him and other women and, you know, being with them, you know, he gets to show them things that they've never seen. Jada's seen everything, and he gets to live, you know, new adventures through the eyes of these younger people and these younger women. Oh, this is exciting. I've never tasted this. I've never done this. I've never been here, you know, and that's exciting. But anyway, let's jump into the Astro Teas really quickly. First of all, August Alsina and his mommy issues. He has a moon in Sagittarius, okay? So with his moon being in Sagittarius, his moon is, now when you have a moon in Sagittarius, remember the moon is representative of his mother, and that she wasn't there, or she was distant, or there was some you know, separation with the mother. And we all know that, you know, he feels like his mother wasn't as supportive earlier on and throughout his life when he needed her. And a Sagittarius moon, not all, but it can be that way because the mother could be absent. She could, you know, have to travel for work. She could be, you know, in a different part of the country, always gone. A very independent, strong-willed type of a person, not necessarily, you know, the soft, cancery type of mother and energy from that, you know, Sagittarian moon. Someone who pushes the child earlier on to be independent so that they can keep their freedom, because Sagittarius is all about freedom. He also has the Sun square moon. Remember, his parents were separated. The father wasn't there. Sun is the father, moon mother. The parents separated. They didn't get along. So that is a connection to parental issues and problems with the Sun square the moon. And also that his mother could have been very dominant, masculine, a strong woman, and that he's also attracted to women like that. If you look at Jada, she is very masculine. You know, she's feminine, she's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but there is a edge to her and a masculinity to her, and he would be attracted to women that's kind of, you know, masculine, hard, a woman who is you know, dominant. He will be attracted to dominant women who make him feel safe, because he never felt safe. So he's always searching for that mother figure and a woman to help him to feel safe. And that is the moon sextiling Saturn. He's looking for security in a woman. Emotional security, because it's the moon, and a woman to be that Saturnian rock, you know, and there's some masculinity, you know, some masculine energy there. um he also has his moon sextile Venus, so he is, you know, he is attracted to women, because I know a lot of people are looking at him and saying, what in the world, and now he's doing this, he dyed his hair. I think at one point, yeah, you know, the colorful hair and everything, but he does also have his sun is square, no, let me see, no, his sun is trying Uranus. His sun is trying Uranus, so that's, you know, that individuality. The sun is the masculine energy as well. We know he's a Mars and Gemini, but the sun is the core and his, you know, his core self, and you know, he's a free spirit, or he would express himself as a free spirit, and we see that in his clothes and his style, and he, you know, likes to be different, as we can see. He also has his outer planets, Neptune, Uranus, and Saturn all in retrograde in his chart, which says he had a lot of karmic debt when he came into this incarnation, and he had a lot of lessons to, you know, to learn and relearn and get through. Now, Neptune retrograde, of course, would be the drug issues. Uranus retrograde, I don't know too much about him having issues with authority figures so much to speak, but he did with the Uranus retrograde and the Uranus, even if it's a positive aspect like the Tri, it still represents unexpected changes and events that we wouldn't have expected to happen. But he is a visionary. He does have a lot of foresight, but all of the ups and downs and topsy-turviness of his career and his life and his health, with him being a Virgo, which is the sign that rules over the health and the body and wellness, he has had a lot of sicknesses and illnesses, and that is the Uranus retrograde that he has, and it makes a lot of aspects in his chart. And of course, that is, like he said, his legs went out. He had actually, he's mercurial because he's a Virgo, and then Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, and so he has that Uranus Mercury as well aspects, and then the moon square Mercury, and then the Uranus is making aspects as well in his chart. And he had a lot of physical ailments, a lot of problems with his health, and not knowing whether he was going to live or die. And it was a lot of things with August where he was unexpected, like he was in a coma, and you know, then he had to learn how to walk again, you know, like he said. Then his sister died, and then his mother wasn't there. He just had a lot of events, unexpected things that he would have to that would, you know, change his life in an instant. He's had to deal with situations where his life just changed that much. Like his sister died, then he took custody of her children. Like, you know, where things change in a flash and you have to go with it. So he's used to, it's tiring though. He is highly spiritual, a highly spiritual person, a highly sensitive man as well. Now, when it comes to Jada and August, what was it about? Like, what was it? What brought them together, guys? Let's look into their astrology. So, we have August. I'm going to point to a few major aspects, and then we're going to wrap it up, because I'm not going to keep you guys for too long, because you know I can ramble on and on, but I don't want to do that. So the major theme, or the major aspect that I see, one of the major ones that I see, is that Jada Pinkett's Pluto is conjunct August Alcina's Venus. So she has Pluto in Virgo at like 29 degrees. Let's see. She has Pluto, yeah, she has Pluto in Virgo at 29 degrees. And it conjuncts his Venus in Libra at 3 degrees. So he would have wanted, now when he said everything that he said in that interview where he said I thought I was gonna die when this ended, that is Pluto, and he said it broke me down to nothing. It broke me down to nothing. That's Pluto. It will destroy the identity that was, and it leaves and break so that you can be reborn anew. So Pluto is about transformation, and a lot of times it can be painful, but that magnetism, that attraction, that hunger, that thirst, that it's like like you had, like basically like how if you ever seen Dracula, how Dracula or was that Dracula? Yeah, if you ever seen the Dracula movie, how he was after the woman, you know, it's that vampirish like energy of where I have to be in your presence, I have to be around you, I need to be in your space. We are connected and joined at the hip. It's passion, it's possession, it's literally possession, but it's breaking you down to the lowest core of what you can be. And even the pain and agony of it, you wouldn't regret that either. You want that too. You just to feel the high and feeling that you felt. It's the Pluto Venus aspects can be the most painful and delicious aspects. You know, it's painful and delicious. Okay. But it meant that Jada had a certain amount of power over him, a lot of power over him. You have to understand he had mother issues, and she represented what he needed in that way. He felt safe, he felt secure. And Pluto can also be a predator. Pluto can be a predator, and Pluto does represent sex. Venus does represent love and beauty. So it's his Venus, so he would have wanted love, right? It's her Pluto, power, sex, hunger. I get it by any means. She would have been the predator. Not to say that she isn't like the traditional sense of a predator, but it is a predatory like energy, or it can be. So those are the two, the Pluto conjunct Venus that they have. I also see where she has her Lilith. So her Lilith, which is in Leo, her Lilith is in Libra, and it is conjunct also his Venus. And Lilith in astrology represents, you know, carnal, sexual energy, attraction. It devours. It's the unapologetic sexual self. It's not sorry kind of energy, and it works. It's in Libra. So and Lilith is manipulative. She does what she wants and gets what she wants how she can, or in the way of the sign she's in. So through Libra, it will be through charm. It would be through making someone feel special and adored and daunted on. It would be through communication and listening to what I'm listening to you. Now, unbutton your shirt. You know, I'm listening to you. Come here, August. You know, it's that kind of an energy, because it's, you know, it's Lilith in Libra, and it is conjunct his Venus, and that is about, you know, she finds me attractive. I'm handsome to her. She caters to me. She puts my toothpaste on my toothbrush. She greases my scalp. She massages my head. She props my pillows up behind my head. She just makes me feel so loved and comforted. And then she's, you know, getting what she wants. And Now, let's see here. Any other aspect that's really strong. Now, about her being in an open relationship, she does have Mars in Aquarius, conjunct the North Node in Aquarius, which would trine Will's planets. Yeah, trines Will's planets because he's a Libra, but so they would be open to an open relationship. Remember, Aquarius is group love, okay? And it's about not holding one prisoner and allowing them to explore different relationships and learning and understanding from more than one person. It prefers the collective, not the individual. And her Mars is in Aquarius conjunct her North Node. The purpose is to, share oneself, or a drive to share oneself. And you see, she's even on Red Table Talk, speaking to people, having a talk show. Aquarius is my air sign communication, but her driving force is to share oneself with the group, or group love. And she does also have her Venus in Libra, of course, we know, which is compatible with her Mars and her North Node that's in Aquarius, because they trine. So there is this openness to a relationship that is, unusual, Mars and Aquarius, and it involves multiple people, which is both Libra and, Aquarian energy. Libra is the one-on-one with someone, and Aquarius is the group. But either way, it's about partnerships, and with Aquarius, the multiples. She does also have her Uranus in Libra, which directly trines her Mars and Aquarius and her North Node. Relationship totally that's not definitive to societal norms, and being okay with that, and actually getting a kick out of this. Now I'm getting the energy that she's going to get a kick out of the Red Table Talk interview, just because her Uranus is in Libra, and it's a, Uranus gets a kick out of shocking, and this is something, it's in the sign of relationships, and she gets to talk about it. Oh, and her Uranus is conjunct her Lilith, which, like I said, is in Libra, and having unusual sexual appetite. So I would not be surprised if we learn about, that is the energy of swinging and bisexuality and different kinky sex. Now, let's see, what else is going on with her in August. Before we wrap this up, August, Jupiter is at 22 degrees of Virgo, which also conjuncts her Sun at 25 degrees of Virgo. So he gave her hope. He did feel within her, he brought her the joy. It was this energy of, it was like a vampire-ish kind of a relationship, because her Pluto is on his Venus, and his Jupiter is on her Sun. So even though he's young, Jupiter is the guru, he's the wise one. Now, he's young physically, but I'm sure they had a lot of great conversations together, and she looked at him as an old soul to a certain extent, a young body. And we saw the picture, we know what he's working with, but he would have brought to her a new toy, but bigger than just being a new toy. There was enthusiasm. She was learning. She felt like she was growing in her knowledge, and it would make someone be generous with you. Her Sun is conjunct with Jupiter. It could go both ways. There is a generosity between them. But his Jupiter is also conjunct her Pluto. So yeah, Jupiter conjunct Pluto. She is extremely wealthy. and she does have a lot to share with him, or could have had a lot to share with him and help him out and hook him up and, big him up financially. But Jupiter is also the broadcaster. It's also a word to get out to the world, and that's what it is. The relationship. It got out in the public, and it was August who opened his mouth and said, "Hey, I still love those people, but this is my truth, Jupiter, and I have to tell it." Now, her Saturn is in Gemini, 6 degrees, and like I told you guys, August has his Mars in Gemini, and August's Mars, her Saturn is 6 degrees of Gemini. His Mars is kind of late there though. His Mars is like 25 degrees of Gemini, so it's not too close. But he does have Mars in Gemini, squaring his Jupiter in conjunct his Jupiter in Virgo, which is, he does speak very well with that Mars in Gemini. He does speak really well, and the Mars actually out of sign is sextiling his, let me see, it is sextiling, his Mars is out of sign, he has an out of sign connection between Mars and his Mercury in Virgo. A sextile. Yeah, he has an out of sign sextile between his Mars in Gemini and his Mercury in Virgo, because his Gemini is so late. His Mars in Gemini is so late. It's sextile in that very early 0 degrees of Virgo Mercury. It's a critical degree, the Mercury in Virgo. So he's a very he thinks a lot. He's a thinker, probably very critical of himself and what it is that he says and how he says it. As you notice, he does speak very well, but he could possibly be conflicted with how he comes across when he speaks and what he says, but because it's Mars and Mercury, he still is going to say it, and then he has an inconjunct between his Mars and his Jupiter in Virgo, or what we call a quincunx, and that's, it's this very uncomfortable energy with expression. And as he said, when he was a child, he was molested. And, he even said that throughout the energy, I had to be quiet. I couldn't say how I felt. He so much inside and internal pressure to keep these secrets and to not say anything and just to hold it in, and it's weighing me down, which is the Mars in Gemini wants to exert its right, because it's Mars, it wants to exert its right to express, and it's in conjunct his Jupiter, which could be the feeling of hopelessness around the expression. Like, if I say it, I'm saying it to what group of people? These people don't care about me. My mother don't care about me. Who am I telling? Nobody cares. Who would listen? Kind of a thing. Also, I want to say that he has his Lilith in Aquarius conjunct his Saturn, and this is August. And his Lilith is conjunct her Mars. Her Mars in Aquarius and her North Node. So the Saturn, the relationship between August and now, see, here's the thing about Aquarian energy. It's ruled by Uranus, so it can be a relationship that is on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again. Saturn, regardless, it is one of the rulers of Aquarius, and Lilith is, I said dark. It can be, taboo, unapologetic, sexual energy. And his is in Aquarius and is conjunct his Saturn. So he may be one to restrict himself. Like, he might do better with like tantric sex. And even he said it himself that he's been celibate for years, and that's the withholding of satisfaction and pleasure. And Lilith is sexual pleasure, and Saturn is restriction. So he can hold himself off. He needs to be intellectually stimulated to maybe even have arousal at this point. And also with his planets, like I said, the Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus is in retrograde. So he had a lot of lessons that he came here having to learn, and he's approaching his Saturn return when Saturn enters into Aquarius at the end of this year. And so mid next year, maybe next 2021, like June or July, he'll be going into his Saturn return, which would be interesting. And to be honest with you guys, and I don't want to put that over August's life, but I do get a strong energy around even, oh my, I'm not going to put that over, but I am getting a strong energy around an accident with August. And I know his sister, I believe, was an accident or something like that, but I am getting a strong energy around that. And it would be another, transformation for him, and I'm just hoping that it won't be the transformation into the ethereal, because he needs to be here, for his nieces now. But I am getting that kind of energy around him. If he don't, those, with him, because of his Uranian energy and the way that it is, and that he's coming upon his Saturn return. The Saturn return can be tough. Mine, I felt like I thought I was going to die. That's how I felt during my... Now, everybody's Saturn return won't be like that, but that's how I felt. I thought I was going to die because of the aspects that's made from my sun to my Saturn and my inner planets to my Saturn. It was just horrible. It was one of the worst experiences that I felt. But for everybody, it's not like that. For some people, it's exhilarating. It's one of the best experiences, and especially if they're already someone who's very Saturnian. I do have aspects of Saturn, but I won't say that I'm a Saturnian person like that. And for him, he will have a lot of aspects being made to that transiting Saturn when it comes into Aquarius. Like he has Uranus, he has his Uranus square Saturn, his Neptune square Saturn. He has, and that alone with the Uranus square Saturn, again, the yearning for structure and stability, and feeling like every time you get it, it's snatched away from you, or there's another change that I have to adjust to. Okay, but I don't get that the relationship between Jada and August is over. We'll have a round two, and we'll be talking about that. And I'm not talking about me and you talking about it. I'm saying publicly there will be a round two between August and Alcina, and then at a later point we'll probably be talking about that. All right, I'm Earthy Indigo. Click on the link in the description to book a reading. Bye, y'all.